Hi art friends, welcome back to art class with Mr. Poulis. Today we're going to be starting our warm and cool colored tree project. So hopefully by now you have a decent idea of what warm, cool, and neutral colors are. And if not, don't worry, we'll talk about them more as the project goes on. To get started, you need a black marker, a white piece of paper, and hopefully a circle tracer. If not, I have a template that I will link in the Google Classroom. You should just be able to print that and then work off of that paper. Let's get started. All right, my friends, I've got my marker, I've got my paper, I've got something to trace. Remember, you could use a bowl or you could print out the template that you can find in the Google Classroom. So the first thing I'm going to do is put this tracer in the middle of my paper from left to right, but more toward the top. I want some space at the bottom for my tree trunk. And I'm going to go ahead and just trace that. Doesn't have to be perfect. There we go. Done with my tracer. So I've got a circle toward the top of my paper. And I want to make a nice thick tree trunk, maybe about 1 inch wide, and add some roots. Okay, pretty simple. Remember, this is going to be a stylized tree. It's going to look a bit more like stained glass than a real tree. In order to create the branches, what I'm going to do is make 3 dots, one on the left, one on the right, and one on the top. I would like the tree trunk lines to go all the way up and connect to that dot on both sides. So they don't have to be perfectly straight. They can be a little wavy, right? Tree branches and tree trunks are not perfectly straight. Then I want to create a branch on the right and a branch on the left. So I just create a little curved line that gets skinny and touches that dot. And another one over here. Starts off a little thick, gets a little skinnier to touch that dot. And every one of these branches is going to get another branch. So I'll make a little dot over here and another little branch that touches the edge. Make a little dot over here and another little branch. Make a little dot over here and another little branch. Now, in my experience doing this with students, everybody's looks a little different. Okay? Not a problem. This is basically what your tree shape is going to look like. We have the branches, we have the trunk, and we have the circle for where all the leaves are going to go. The next part, you are going to need a ruler, a pencil, and you're going to be creating a graph. So first, make sure that you've traced this. If you drew this all out in marker, go ahead and get in pencil. Go ahead and get a marker, make it nice and thick. And then we're going to make sure that we do the graph part in pencil. So I would use a ruler for this. If you don't have a ruler, you could kind of fudge your own graph paper by just getting anything with a straight edge. But this is going to make your work look nice and consistent. So I'm going to fast forward the next part while I make the grid, but I'm very simply lining up my ruler, creating a line. Move my ruler over to that line, and create another one. I'm going to do it all the way across that way. I'm going to do it up and down, and I'm going to fill my project with squares. So let's fast forward through that, and we'll get through day 1 of today's project. And here we are, my friends. My tree has been outlined with marker. My grid has been made with a pencil. Maybe you were able to print out the sheet that I put in Google Classroom, and if so, you didn't have to do that step. But it's not a big deal. It doesn't take a super amount of time. But these grids are going to be what helps us with our colors. Now, for day 1, we are only going to be focusing on warm colors. And seeing as it is the fall, we're going to be using the warm colors inside of our leaves. So anything inside of this circle that is not part of the trunk. So I'm not going to be coloring any of this guy in here, or any of these branches, but all of these blank spaces are going to get a warm color. Now, a mixture of crayons and markers works pretty well for this because there are so many different oranges and reds in the Crayola crayons, but markers work great too. Anything that you have on hand that is a warm color. So I'm thinking about fire, and I'm pulling out anything that I think counts as a warm color. And I'm just about good here. I have quite a bit to get me started. Maybe a yellow. Yellow would be nice. And maybe I have a couple of markers too. So all of these can be used today. And I just kind of bring them out and put them in a place that I can pull from. And I'm going to pick one to start. I'm going to start with this cool red color. And remember that I'm working inside of these leaves, so inside of this circle, but not in a branch. Okay, so nothing outside of the circle and nothing inside the branch. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a grid. I'm going to trace my space out, and then I just color it in. Cool. So that square has a nice sparkly red. And I could maybe do, let's say, 3 for each color. So just a little bit faster if I'm not swapping colors for every square. So I moved to another leaf spot. I'm coloring it in. I'm going to move to another leaf spot, trace it, color it in. Okay, grab a new color. I'm going to move to yellow, right? Another one of my warms. Still working inside these leaf spots. I'm going to trace one and color it in. Move to another one, trace it, and color it in. Move to another one, trace it, and color it in. And I'm going to keep going with my warm colors until all of these leaf spaces are filled up. Even these tiny little ones, right? There's a little triangle there. Make sure that that's all filled up. Now, maybe I go through all my colors and I still have some white spaces. It's okay to reuse your colors. It's okay if I have more than 3 yellow spaces. No big deal. Just remember that we're only focusing on what we might consider to be a leaf. So I'm going to fast forward the next section of this video, and we'll see where I get. Let's go. And there we have it. Anywhere that would be a leaf, right? It's not a branch and it's not outside. It's now colored with a warm color. Now you might be saying, Mr. Poulos, I see a purple in there. Now it's actually a red-violet. It's a mix between red and purple. So could you say it's a cool color? Probably. Could you say it's a warm color? Probably. I think it's up to you. But it definitely has some red in it, so I decided to use it. Some of the colors got used, 5 or 6 times. I think that's okay too. You use what you have and do the best that you can and try and fill up these white spaces. So that's it for the warm color section of the project. So we're going to stop here. And then next time what you're going to be doing is pulling out your cool colors and coloring in the outside. And we'll talk more next time. So nice work, guys. Keep creating art. See you then. All right, my friends, so we finished coloring in the leaves with the warm colors, and today we're going to be doing cool colors for the background. So if you do not remember what your cool colors are, that's okay. You will eventually be able to just think about them very easily and come up with them. So remember, warm colors, we thought about fire. For cool colors, I like to think about the ocean. So your blues of the water, right? Nice teals and blues. The green of the seaweed or grass, and then purples I like to think about, coral or maybe certain fish. But it's basically the colors in the rainbow that don't come to mind when you think about fire. So you're going to pull a bunch of these together, and we're going to do just what we did inside of the tree, but we're going to do it outside with the cool colors. So I'm going to fast forward that section and just sort of fill this in, make sure that there's no white space. I'm using markers, I'm using crayons, I'm using whatever I have. I think there are more squares out here than there were in here. So you'll probably end up using your crayons a little bit more frequently than you did before. So where I probably only had 1, 2, 3, and a couple small parts of yellow, I might have 6 or 7 yellows, of a specific color out here. But the warm colors are gone. It's cool color time. Let's get to work. Well, there you have it. My whole background has been colored with these cool colors. And you may have noticed that for one of these, I went back over it with a crayon. Now, I used this, what looked to be like a purple marker, but it came out pretty pink. And it looked too much like it might have belonged in the warm colors. So I actually just took a purple and darkened it up a little bit so that it looked more like it belonged. It sort of stood out too much. Um, and by now, you should have all of these squares filled in with cool colors. Hopefully you can see on the camera. These are not white, they're just shiny crayons. So the only white spaces left are the tree trunk and the branches, and we're going to get to those next week with our neutral colors. But for today, hopefully you have a warm colored leaves, cool colored background, and we will get to this next week. So keep creating, awesome job, and I'll see you guys next week. Welcome back, my friends. Here we have our tree, warm colored leaves, cool colored background, and we haven't done anything to the trunk or the branches yet. So today we're going to be adding some neutral colors. So remember, neutral colors are the colors that don't really belong in the rainbow. They probably aren't your favorite colors, but you can do some pretty cool stuff with them. And today we're going to be coloring the tree trunk. So let's see, black and white are neutral colors. And when you mix black and white, you get gray, so that's also a neutral color. Browns, tans, those skin colors, those sort of muddy-like colors, those are all going to be neutral colors. So go ahead and collect your neutral colored crayons, markers, anything that you've got, and we will get started. So I'm going to pick a few of these to color in black, and let's see, maybe 5 or 6, something like that. I'm going to leave a few white, and the rest are going to get neutral, and this isn't going to take me very long, so I don't think I will have to fast forward this one. You can hang around, or you can just skip ahead to see how this looks, but I am going to pick a few spots for brown, a few spots for my tans. If you have a skin color crayon selection, Crayola just put out a Colors of the World selection, which has, lots of different tans and burnt sienna and things like that, sand colors, and it's very, very cool. So I recommend you check that out if you like to draw a lot of people. And you like those skin tones to look just right. It's a really cool crayon selection. So I'm going to pick a few of these to do this lighter brown. And I'm actually using the same color here, but I'm pressing a little bit lighter. And it will look like a different color because it'll have more of the white paper showing through. So that's about it for me. So here you have a cool color background, a neutral colored tree, and a warm colored sky. I hope you guys enjoyed this project. This is one of my favorite projects to do because it shows you how the warm colors stand apart from cool colors, which is something that you can use when designing posters and just trying to make something stand out from a background. It's also a project that looks awesome if you hang it up in your window and you let some of the sunlight shine through. These look really cool when I was able to kind of put everybody's together in the hallway and just kind of look at everybody's different version of them, and they just look so great together. So I hope you got a lot out of this. I hope you're able to remember, which colors belong in the warm section and which colors are cool. And yeah, I hope you had a great time with it. And next week we'll all hold them up, and I'll see how everybody's came out. And I'll see you guys then. So keep creating art, and I'll see you.